Good morning, everybody. Some housekeeping announcements first. Um, I don't know if I'll be doing a show in the morning because today is the airport run. I'll be back really late, and I don't know that I'll be able to function properly. And I have not had a topic dropped on me yet. So I'm going to take that as a sign to probably not do a show on Thursday morning. Um, so don't anticipate one then. Um, and we'll see about Friday. So just so you guys know that I don't want to have people looking for a show on Thursday and it doesn't show up. Um, I may or may not, but it looks like more like I may not do one Thursday morning. Um, so anyway, second, I don't know what that means. What do you mean you upset me? I don't know what you're talking about. I get upset by topics, not necessarily people. So sometimes people. I can't say not anytime people, but most of it's topics. Um, Yesterday's topic was very revealing, um, very revealing about the audience stuff of who listens, um, and how they listen, um, especially the response of one of the subscribers that seemed to be fine with the content until the Geno topic, and then a whole different side to them showed up, and it gave me quite the eye opening um, view into the mindset of the the audience here. Um, so I want to clarify some things, um, because they said something about how I operate, and I want to make sure that people see how many people think the same way. So if you believe that I block people simply for disagreeing with me, say yes. If, however, you've noticed that I block people that vehemently go after God, say no. So, yes, if I block them simply because of disagreeing, and say no if I only block them when it comes down to them being either blasphemous or denying something God said. Because if I have a habit of just blocking people because I disagree with them, I need to know that for sure. Because I don't recall myself being like that. The individual, everybody in the room, I think, knows the individual that came and said that statement, and that was jaw, and it was kind of jaw dropping to honestly to read it. Um, Not disappointing, just shocking, just shocking. And so, um, for any newcomers or people who have been here for a while, um, I want to put your mind in the location where it should be when watching this particular channel. Um, if you have merit to your argument, I will hear you out. Yeah, I did say jaw. Yeah. If you have merit to your argument, I will listen. If you can articulate your point, I will listen. If you have a question, I will listen. But what I will never, ever, ever, ever do is ignore um, blatant blasphemy um, and direct attacks on God. For some who might think I just get sidetracked by them, I have zero concern about my ministry. If that's what you want to call it. Why? Because I'm not the one in charge of it. It cannot be an Achilles heel to my ministry if I'm not the one in charge of it. I am not the one in charge of this ministry. I never was. I never will be. So when I am pushed to discuss a certain comment because I've become aware of when he wants me to and when he doesn't want me to, when he does want me to, it has always, and I mean 100%, always worked out that the person commenting elaborates on the point of the topic. I have yet to have one event where the person in the comment section does not elaborate on the point for me, even through their objections and their blasphemy, which is why I cannot and will not ignore it when I'm told to address it. In this instance, I'm addressing this particular comment because of today's topic. As I said, I don't get asked to address things until he tells me to address it. And in this case, he has put that in front of me because it happened coincidentally the day before my topic about demons. And no, I am not calling Jah a demon, but I am calling the words and the approach of that individual demonic. Um, the existence of demons. The Bible has, I mean, like all through it, you got statements about them, um, events including them, um, situations where they show up. And so I want to show a little bit of that and then talk about the reality of them in today's world. So the reason why John's comment was brought in as part of this topic today is because of this verse right here in First Timothy 4. Now the Spirit expressly says that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and the doctrine of demons, speaking lies in hypocrisy, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from foods which God's created to be received with thanksgiving by those who believe and know the truth. For every creature of God is good, and not and is and nothing is to be refused if it is received with thanksgiving, for it is sacrificed by the word of God, sanctified by the word of God in prayer. Now, when I did the show yesterday, it reared up a lot of strongholds that people have with regard to holding people in higher regard than they do what they say is the word of God. Um, so hang on one second. Um, just one second. So it reared a lot of heads of people who really don't regard God in the position he should be, and they put man there. And whether we want to admit it or not, that's a form of possession. That's that. I'm sorry, but that is demonic. If you're putting it's idol worship, which is of the devil. If you say you believe the word itself, you say that, and you hear, um, hang on, um, if you say you believe the word, and you hear someone saying that's blatantly contrary to the word, and you can read it verbatim, and the person that you regard as awesome is directly going against it, but you call the person calling that out the bad guy, then it really means that you don't really believe the word. You believe the person and their interpretation of it. So when it comes to the um the demonic side of things, I think it comes in many forms. I think um listening to a blatant lie, especially in regard to God himself, is giving ground to demons, which makes them have power. And I do believe they do exist, because just like nothing has changed from the past in the spirit world, and that things in the Bible have told you that it's going to get exponentially worse spiritually, and he told us our battle is in that realm, I cannot ignore the existence of demons. Now, growing up, there were always stories about um, figures and demonic types of entities that we were told about. There were all kinds of movies about scary images. Okay, so there are tons of imagery and content out there about the spirit world, about ghosts and goblins and all this stuff. Growing up, we were told about various different um, I don't know how we specters. We had one called Dwen. We had another one, Laja Bless. We had a bunch of them that we were told of how they look. We were described as children how they looked, what they did, what their role was. Now, mind you, the culture at the time when I was growing up, it was still very much steeped in voodoo, and black magic was very abundant. Okay, um, it was still a holdover from plantation type stuff, and um, many of the people that were still living in places that were not industrialized genuinely did believe and have seen demons. My mother has mentioned seeing them. These are not figments of her imagination. She's seen them. The descriptions of them are quite um, graphic. What they do is graphic. The Duen that we were talked about was always a childlike creature, but his feet were turned backwards, and he always was in a squatting position somewhere in an open field. And you wouldn't be encouraged to go help them, and then that would be it for you. There's one about a man in the bush, bearded man, fairly short, and hunters would go out and never come back the same. My grandfather being one. Went out, encountered it, came back completely mind gone. There were ones that we were told as a child that would only go out at night, usually a female, that would take off their human skin and disappear for the night, go feed, and come back. And the way they would get rid of them is by putting either salt or something spiced into the skin that they would find, and that would get rid of them. These were stories that we were told. So, fast forward to my adult life. You would think that if I were to see anything, it would herald back to my old days of what I heard, so it would repeat itself. But that's not what happened. And I think most of you who saw my story um, will understand that what I encountered when I did find myself in front of um, an entity, um, it was nothing like I was told as a kid. Nothing that I had seen in movies. None of these images that I saw. Thank you, Nicole. None of them. None of the ones that I saw in my time of experiencing them resembled anything to do with the childhood figures that I was told about. Um, so for a long time, when I was in my stupor and in my fallen location and staying and running from God and all that stuff and in my sin, anytime Jesus' name was mentioned, I would get a migraine. And I mean, every time the name Jesus was mentioned, I would get a migraine. I was that steeped in my stuff. And I'm telling you all this stuff because he's made this clear to me afterwards. Um, and the only way I can really relay things to you is by giving you my personal story. And whether or not people believe it, that's not on me to, I don't care if you believe it or not. That's for you to believe or not. I'm telling you what I've experienced. And if it's something that you think I'm lying, then you think I'm lying. Okay, that's, I'm going to make sure I put that precursor up there. But you can ask people that are around me whether or not it was true because I told them about it at the time. Um, every time his name was mentioned, I'd get a migraine. And then one Sunday, we normally did a house church kind of thing, and we would go from different houses to meet. And I remember this particular one. It was at a my sister in law's old mobile home. Migraine hit me, and I went into the guest bedroom to lie down. And lights were off, but there was, still 6 o'clock at night. It was summertime, so you could still see in the room. And my head was just, I mean, it was killing me. And they were in the living room singing. So I could still hear the faint biblical singing coming from the living room, and it would just make my headache even more annoying. So I passed out for a bit. Then I woke up and I'm sitting, lying on the bed, and I'm looking into the corner of the room. And in the corner of the room, there is a shadow figure that his head reached the very top of the ceiling. Red eyes, but not bright red, a dull red. You can differentiate it, but very smoky. And it just stood there looking at me. It just stood in the corner of the room looking at me. And I didn't even freak out about it. I was just looking at it. And then I closed my eyes again and opened it, and that particular thing was gone. So then I sat up and I looked in the opposite corner of the room. And there was another one. This one was shorter, more rotund, just as smoky, same kind of eyes. Fast forward a month later, driving home. Left side of the road, I see this little image, same smoky, same eyes, sitting down looking like a smaller individual. And we have an embankment that went down as we were driving, and bam, it looked at me and it took off down the hill. And I stopped the car and I went looking, and there was nothing there. Now, when I was going to college, I always used to feel stuff around me. Like I'd be walking home after dark or something, and I would feel as though something was always there. Like something was always right there. And I wasn't afraid of the dark and stuff like that. That wasn't me. I wasn't like always thinking there are ghosts in the dark. That was never me. I had no problem walking in the dark, but there was always feeling like there was something walking behind me. And then solidified later when I encountered those things. So demons being real to me, um, no one can tell me they're not. And no, I don't see them anymore because I don't pay any attention to that anymore. Um, I have nothing looming over my shoulder, and it's amazing what a guilt-free living will do for you. Um, but then my son spoke about some stuff, but of course, it was always while he was in his mess that he would witness or feel something, or a dream would pop out, or they would torment. My wife has mentioned stuff that she would. My daughter has seen them leaving rooms. She drew them. She was at an event for females, a women's event, and they were praying, and she drew as she saw them leaving people, she said. My daughter's not one of those super crazy people. So she drew them as they were leaving. The reason I want people to understand that the validity of demons are real is that we constantly hear this concept of if you're a believer, nothing can happen to you, blah, 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 blah. And we will find people purposefully putting themselves in positions to compromise their standing simply out of this inability to understand that they're trying to handle something that they're not supposed to handle. And I don't mean that we're not supposed to cast out demons or deliver people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that get cocky in their own ability by saying, I cannot because of who I am. That's the breaking point that I think you can't step into that. Either you invest your power and know that it's his and he's the one keeping you from harm, or you don't. When you start getting yourself into these positions where I cast out demons and I do this and you don't. You're a vessel for casting them out. You exert the power that God has over these demons. You only have the power that you take from the Lord. That's not you. Um, there are crazy attachments that also come with demons because some of us don't think about the demons and what they attach to. Because when we think about them, we either think of them in two ways: an entity or a vice. We never think of them as a habit, but they can link themselves to habits too. People need to be aware of the demonic world because the demonic world will keep you focused on the flesh world and make you think that that's where the battle is. Everybody should know by now that the demonic world is very present in um, modeling, movies, um, galas, outfits. We all know that they exist there. And yet, still, we try to deny the fact that they exist to the point where they affect. Like they almost just seem to just be a manifestation, but they never have an effect on people. And that's where you get caught up. That's where you get caught up. I don't believe that if we encounter them, it means that the Holy Spirit is not within, because the apostles did indeed encounter many people that were enslaved by demons. Um, I'm not saying you can't see them. I just know when I encountered them, it was because they were comfortable with my sin enough that they knew I was even comfortable that they can show up and not freak out. I think there are two types of spottings. I think you can see them because you're in it, and I think you can see them because you're not in it. There are plenty of people who could see a demon manifest itself, not be part of what the demon offers, but know it exists. And then there are some people that will see them because that demon is exactly what they are encountering and living. Um, the solution now, this is again, this part here is where I'm going to give you my opinion, okay, and what I did, and as usual, if you are in a situation where this is the case, you either have seen them, are seeing them. Do not Do not attempt anything. This part is not opinion. Do not attempt to even remotely tackle these things without God. You're asking for you're asking for trouble. And I mean go to him to find out how to handle it. I don't mean get cocky and think that you can just go casting out stuff. You have to connect with him first to see what he wants you to do. It you can't function on the off the cuff like that. You can't function off the cuff like that. If he is the only one that can really beat them, I don't see why you wouldn't invoke him first before doing anything else. That's just my 2 cents about that. But the first place to look is inside, is you. See if what you're seeing has anything to do with you. Either them coming after something that you are doing in your life that you shouldn't be, something you allowed in your life that you shouldn't have. Inspect yourself first. Or there might be a mission that you're supposed to be on that they're trying to keep you from. Remember when David said, "See if there's any wicked way within me and lead me into life everlasting." That introspective, he's talked about it all the time. He never said don't judge. He just said to judge yourself first before you judge others. Get the beam out before you get the speck. You don't not get the speck, you just get the beam first. So internally, first, you got to get what's going on with you out the way. Because sometimes demons are not there to knock you off your Christian walk. And we all know it's kind of their thing. Um, but it won't be blatantly knocking you off your walk. It's slowing you. It's slowing you down. Sometimes God will allow them to manifest themselves so you can see exactly what's going on in your own life so you can get rid of it. Offer it up to Him. They come in dreams. The biggest latch that I've seen that they do is in promiscuity. That has been one of the more blatant ones that I have seen because it has such a latent effect on people. You link yourself to that type of a spirit and it does not like to go away, like at all. Sexual issues and demons are the hardest to shake. Outside of drugs and chemical dependency, that's one of the hardest ones. There's a reason why an entire city was scorched for it. An entire city was scorched for that demon. Our job is to remove those footholds, those strongholds, get rid of them, don't keep them around. We talked about the little fox. We talked about um, entertaining small things. We've talked about all that. But this aspect of demons, we like to think of them as these scary, rah, kind of things. Demons aren't always that scary. Sometimes a demon's very inviting because they don't come as a demon. They sometimes don't show up in the way that we consider a demon to look. And that's the dangerous part of the walk. The real way for you to decipher them is to go through and look at them with the lens that God has. You got to weigh them. They come in the form of friends, influences, habits, um, viewpoints. They don't always show up as entity. They don't always show up as an entity. They don't. Many times they'll show up as something that you might consider normal. Say, for instance, do you consider it demon possession, or at least seeing a demon, seeing a person in drag, or a female dressed up like a man, or um, someone at a bar completely drunk off their behind? Do you consider that seeing or witnessing a demon? They are. Those are all presence of demons. Because remember, there's a spiritual war going on. The battle is for your soul. It's not for your flesh. The flesh is already gone. This is a battle for your soul. And if the battle's in the spirit, then definitely they're going to come at you and present themselves in ways that will distract. I've heard people say, well, a real Christian cannot be possessed. A real Christian will understand the demon world and stay away from it. Yeah. But a real Christian will also stay away from it, not present itself to it because it cannot be possessed. I don't go in just because I can to do something. I don't tempt. If the devil wants me, he gonna have to work to come find me. I'm not gonna go present myself to him because I'm a dumb. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's as dumb as me saying, "Oh, I'm a Christian, so I can't get high if I do speed." I'm not going to present myself before something that I personally have zero power over, or purposely put myself in front of something because, "Oh, God's got it." If I'm supposed to be separate, I'm not gonna purposely go do it simply because I can, avoid it. No. No, 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 no. If the Lord wants me to go do something, He will set up parameters and fail safes long before I step into that situation because He understands battles. I don't. If I used to struggle with sexual issues, okay, I am not going to go into a strip club to try and minister. I'm not going to put my flesh before that. No, I will wait because there are ways to address the people without going into the location. I can wait outside. I can wait a block away, know their path home, and talk to them then. I don't need to go into where they practice their sin to talk to them. Almost everybody that Jesus spoke to, they were not in the middle of doing their thing except for one woman. And he found them after they found her. Tax collectors, he didn't go on their job with a ride along collecting taxes. He met them separate from their actionable sin. It should give you a pretty good precursor of what and how we do things. The demon world is real and strong, and we have to be wise. We have to be wise. They are battling for you. They're battling. If you are not called, and I don't mean by man, I don't mean, or you get up one morning and you kind of like what you're doing, so you're going to do. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about God actually calling you to do something. And the only way you're going to know if He called you to do something is stay in His presence. And that's the only way you're going to find out. Not man telling you, God telling you. He'll tell you. I don't want to put myself purposefully in front of a bullet. I don't care if you tell me I have on a bulletproof vest. I'm not just going to put on a bulletproof vest and walk in front of open fire just because to test the vest out. If you notice, people with bulletproof vests don't just stand there, they still try to avoid the bullet. Why? You trust the vest, right? It's been through tests, it's been shot at, it reflects the bullet. Why are you dodging and dipping? And because that's wise. That's wise. I don't go tempting a demon to come and talk to me. My sister had crippling anxiety and panic attacks and died with this. Was that a demon in her? I cannot tell you what it was. I can tell you what those symptoms that you mentioned, anxiety and panic, they're not of God. Those issues are not of God. He said so. He said he didn't give us those. So if he said he didn't give us those, then obviously they're not of him. Now, whether they're demonic or not, I could say probably they are. I don't know. But like I said, they're not of God. So if they're not of him, they're obviously of the other team. And trust me, I used to suffer with anxiety and fear. My three biggest vices were anxiety, fear, depression, and anger. Anxiety, fear, depression, and anger. Those are my biggest things. And the only reason I had that was because I didn't trust. I can tell you right now, I did not trust God. I didn't trust who he was. I didn't trust what he said he would do. I didn't trust him at all. I had massive distrust of God. And when he broke that news to me, that my biggest issue with him wasn't love and all that stuff. I mean, I kind of loved him, but my love didn't extend to the point of full trust. Because hear me out. If this is to help people who are either seeing, experiencing, or know people that have demons in their shoulders. If you know God, then you should know that he has that battle won. He has that battle won. He does. If he tells me to do something about the demons, I can be convinced that he has already set a plan in motion to when my words are said, that demon flees. Not when I say the words, the demon flees because I says the word. The demon will flee because God has already put a plan to step in when I say something because he's pushed me to say it. He's fighting the battle through me in order to enhance my faith in him. It has nothing to do with how good I am about of expelling demons. I'm not going to go around the place telling people I'm an exorcist now. I didn't exorcise anything. He did. He may have done it through something I said, but he did it, not me. I'm not an exorcist. Our perspective is it needs to shift. The reverence we give to people that can cast demons out. Oh, look at that preacher. He can cast. He don't do nothing. He is not doing a thing. He ain't doing nothing. It ain't not, no. The only power that can handle a demon is God, which means I, since not I'm not God, can only channel him, meaning he's the one that takes care of the demon. He's just using me as the vessel. So I want people to get this clear. I'm not saying don't listen to people that say they're exorcists. I've always and I will continue to tell you this. If you have a concern about someone that you can't easily decipher through the word, and I mean easily, there's always a answer when you take it to God. Whether you should approach it, touch it, anything, take it to God. If you out there and you have a demon that you think is tormenting you, and you have zero clue what to do, don't do. Don't do. You go directly to God. If there is anything, God, if there's anything that's going on that I've ignored, that I put on the back burner, that I'm doing, that's eliciting this presence to be around me, please remove it. Highlight it, remove it, something. Let me know. Show me. You deal with yourself first. Don't just go to the fact, oh, the demon's tormenting me because, but beam, beam. Let him show you what needs to get done, what part needs to get rid of. Is there a habit I have that I didn't realize was a stronghold for the demons to be in there? Are they attracted to something I keep doing? You have to internalize this stuff first. You have to make and invite God to break up all the links, expose. When he expels it, it's gone. When he expels it. And if it's something that's not of you and you're doing, but it's of the company you keep or the places you go, he can solve that too. But just trying to decipher it on your own will never work out. Trust me, it'll never work out. Trying to touch that stuff with yourself, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. And yes, demons are real. They are as real as the power that raised Jesus from the dead. I'm not saying they're just as strong, I'm saying they're just as real. Um, I'll answer it like this. Is the word dummy a curse word? Is the word silly a curse word? How about stupid? Are those curse words? What has defined those words? Is it the word itself? Is it the feeling it evokes, or is it the pain that it inflicts, or what defines the curse word? What defines it? Where is that line that people draw? If it's the F word, that's a curse word. The SH word, that's the curse word. The D word, is that the curse word? There are only like seven. Or is it what someone else considers a curse word? Like my kid, my 7-year-old doesn't like the word stupid. To him, that's a bad word. So if I say the word stupid around him, am I cursing? Yeah. But people won't consider that cursing though, because that's not a big enough curse word. That's why we also categorize sin, right? Because we're looking at the product, not the content of the product. I have to look at the root. Sin's a location, salvation's a location. There are symptoms of that location. I'm not going to tell people one thing. Let God and His let what's inside of you be judged by Him. He'll rebuke you when you say something stupid. He will. So I'm not telling you anything about what is a curse and what isn't a curse word. I'm just asking you, why do we make the differentiation so drastic on the end? Because we want to maintain the others because we like them. The others are okay because they're acceptable. Those are the limits that we'll put. A man put these limits. Those words are fine. The other ones, they're not fine. Why are they not fine? Because we say they're not fine. They have a completely different, but they mean the same thing. Suppose you don't use the F word and you say screw off. So because I lessened or changed the word, but they have the same meaning, it's not cussing? I need to understand how that works. If I say screw off instead of the F off, they have the exact same meaning, but one's cussing and one's not. You see what I mean? So is it the word or is it the meaning that behind that you're trying to convey? Is what actually is cussing. So anyway, you guys can decide that part. That's why I'm leaving that alone. But as far as the demons go, a demon will convince you that what you're doing is right when it's wrong, just so you know as well, which is why you always measure it against who? The author. You take everything back to him. You run everything by him. Everything you do is through him. Everything you do is run right through that analytical portal. Everything. So if you're struggling with the fact that you either see them, encounter them, have seen them, know people that see them, the very first thing you ought to do and should do is take it to God. Ask Him to intervene, show you if it's a local thing or a territorial thing, an outside of you thing. Have Him analyze it. Upon analyzing, ask Him to remove it. Either remove you from the circle, remove you from your friends list, remove you from that location, remove you from that mindset, remove it. Never try to handle Satan with your own hands. You didn't win that battle. God did. If you could beat Satan on your own, you would not need Jesus. If we could have done this on our own, we wouldn't need him. But we do need him. Do not handle Satan on your own. Do not tackle demons on your own. That is insanity. It's insanity. And don't purposely go after Satan just because you think you can. It says to flee. Flee from him, and he flee. I'm not gonna go seek him out. I'm fleeing. God's got that battle. We know the end result. If he directs you to go cast something out, he's gonna be doing it. He is. You don't take the credit for that, nor do you purposely put yourself in that line. Again, just suggestions. It's also backed up biblically. Just saying. None of the people that cast out demons in the Bible ever did it separate from God. None of them that were able to do it were ever did it without being imbued and directed by God. Okay? Just so you know. If you watch or are part of something that you can't do without, might be the stronghold that needs to be addressed. Anything that keeps you from his presence is a problem. Anything that keeps you from his presence is a problem. And that includes you thinking you could do something on your own. Okay? So, like I said, today is pretty much a wash for me. Um, Tomorrow morning, like I said, he hasn't dropped anything yet. And if he does, you'll see it by morning. But as of now, probably won't be doing a show in the morning or a program in the morning, whatever you want to call it. Um, and I don't know about Friday because when I tell you I wait, I wait. I don't try to forge through and create something and make something happen. Usually he just drops the whole week all at once, or he doesn't at all. So I'm just waiting. Um, when it drops, it drops. So no Savage today for me. I won't be on the mix. Um, Tomorrow I will be back on the mix. Um, Friday, I don't know if we're having the. I don't think we're going to have the mix on Fridays. But in any case, I will more than likely be back Friday, providing he drops something. So um, just keep an eye out. I did release the video of Jessica. I got permission from her husband, and I uh, I dropped it today so you can see her, and that was their song. So if you haven't gone to see it yet, I hope that you go see it. Um, I guarantee you'll be blessed by it. I guarantee you'll be blessed by it. Um, that song is amazing. The song is amazing. Um, I don't know. Um, if you have a credit card, I don't think credit cards linked to your bank anyway. I don't know what kind of card you're talking about. If you're talking about debit or credit, or if you get a credit that linked to your bank, I don't know. Um, I, those are the only things I use as Cash App and PayPal. Some people feel like mailing stuff, but other than that, I don't know. Um, Wish I could give you more. I don't because I don't invest my mind in figuring it out because I leave it there. I don't know. It's on my channel. It's actually a video on my channel, not a community page thing. Um, Let me see if I can grab it real quick and put it in the comment section here. Share, copy. All right, here's the link. There's a link to the song. If you want to mail it, you can. Here's the P.O. box right there. Um, Feel free to send it there if you want, or send anything. Letters. I got a few letters there so far. Um, so other than that, though, the only two options I have are these. That's all I have is that. So um, that'll work. Thank you, Alaskan Grandma. Thank you. Thank you, James. Um, I think it's vital for people to understand this before I leave here. The Christian walk is a lot safer and a lot easier when you do it the way He wants you to do it. Okay. When we do it the way He wants us to do it and not the way we feel we should, it becomes a whole lot easier. A whole lot easier. I mean, exponentially easier. When we allow Him to be the source, it's easy. When we allow Him to make our decisions, it's easy. When we hide our life in Him, it's easy. Anytime you step out and try to handle stuff on your own, it becomes difficult. It becomes exponentially difficult when you try to handle this Christian walk on your own. Because technically, you're not living the Christian life, you're living your own version of the Christian life. The entirety of the Christian life is dependency on the perfect. It's complete dependency. I did an entire show about this particular topic, Rosemary. Um, I cannot say about guardian angel stuff. Dreams occur. People talk about near death experiences. People talk about seeing family members and all. I will say if it does not lead you back to Him, it probably wasn't Him. If what takes place in your dream life, after death, near death, if none of that brings you back to talk about Him, it more than likely wasn't Him. Because the devil masquerades as an angel of light now. Don't forget that. He can run around as an angel of light, fooling many. God's result is always Him centric, it's not us centric. Every encounter you have with the real, brings you right back to Him. It does not want to include you. It's not about you. It's about Him. And it will always direct you back to Him because it's about His glory, not yours. Okay? It's about Him. It's always going to be about Him, no one else. So, again, thank you guys for your interaction. Um, For those of you who are on YouTube, if you can please smash that like button if you do, and the dislike button if you don't, whichever it is, but interact with that button either way. It'll get the algorithm boosted for those who want me to be seen, and it'll kill the algorithm button if you don't want me to be seen. So either way, smash the button. See how that works? If you don't want me on YouTube, you can smash the dislike button. If you do want me on YouTube, you can smash the like button. And if the people that outweigh, if I get ratioed, I will know. See? So that's my request. Of course, you ask God if that's something you have to do anyway. Just no. Walk away from the devil and present him with the word. Put God before you. He hems you in and before and behind. Okay? Which means you're protected all around. And that's the first line of defense, not you, him. He's the first line of defense. I plan on still doing the journey, but no one's really reached out to do any journeys. So okay. No one's reached out to do one. So I'm not going to force anybody to do a journey. They don't have to do a journey. So in any case, love you guys. Have a grand rest of the day, and I'll see you when I see you. For sure Monday, possibly Friday, more than likely not tomorrow. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself.